but we don't know where we're going to. We can't be anything, but there's nothing that we have to do. Just be, you don't gotta think about a 7-minute timer or 3:55. We make some noise. Oh yeah, I brought my toys. Seems the farther I get, the further I don't go. So we make some noise. Oh yeah, I brought my toys. It seems the farther I get, the further I don't go. It seems the smarter I get, the more I know I don't know.
Came all the way from Toronto. Give me a clap. And where are you off
Their empires, flags are all around. It's called Rebel Girl. She said it's easier to keep her head down. She looks at you strange when you say there's hope. The rebellion's work, don't you know? Rebel girl, rebel girl, rebel girl, the thing I do, it's gonna be your time. Breaking through, breaking through, breaking through, yeah. 'Cause Star Wars events are just so much better when it's not just dudes. So we for someone to stand by the side. Have a world where we wanna hide. In the desert sun that you made grow. All your life you felt so alone. So alone. So rebel girl, rebel girl, rebel girl, within you, it's gonna be our time. Breaking through, breaking through, breaking through, yeah.
Keep it going, showtime. 40 more seconds. You do it.
Rebel girl, keep going. Rebel girl, the thing I do, it's gonna be your time. Breaking through, breaking through, yeah. We're F105. You can hear Explorers on the new EP F105 free out today wherever you get your audio.
Did everybody Chris Buckle mocktails? We were just on his show last week. Thank you so much for once again helping us to promote what? Today's Star Wars history. I love you guys. All right, in a couple of seconds, we're going to have the Max FX podcast. Anyone here work in the film business? Kind of one over here. All right, then you're going to love this because Max and Kevin, every show, break down a film that Max has worked on. Star Trek films, Beetlejuice, so many. And he's going to talk, I'm not going to spoil it, okay? I'm not going to steal his thunder. So right now, I've got another trivia question here for you. Okay? In January 1987, the Darth Vader Ballet was included in the opening ceremony to what Star Wars attraction? Mr. Alan Sanborn? That is correct. Come on over here. Come on, I'll get it there, you know. Come on over.
Oh, I can do it.
Yeah, Sarah, would you please get him a prize right over there?
Oh, yeah.
While you get your prize right over there, Sarah, my sweetie wife. I here am now so proud to have with us Kevin Toft and Master Com himself, Max Cervantes. Guys, let's hear it for the Max Effects Podcast.
We give an extra 11 seconds.
Give us a second.
All right. Straight back.
Hey,
Actually,
amazing.
Ernie, if you're going to get one of these, I'm going to release your face, Max.
Okay.
Get one of the.
Bolts on the side.
Want to see what he looks like?
It's not pretty.
He didn't want to use magnets.
All right, for those of you who don't know, who here is a reader of classic Marvel Star Wars comics? All right, in one of the big first story arcs, there was a
No, you
droid
gotta show them how.
You got to pull this one.
named Master Com.
Okay.
And this is him right here. This is one of the
Twins.
deepest cut
Whoa.
Star Wars cosplay outfits you will ever see. Do you recall the whole arc with the wheel, the big Cloud City type of establishment? Oh. And there he is, Max Cervantes!
Hello, hello.
Hello. I don't need no.
I want a microphone. Okay. Well, what we do here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Max Effects podcast. What we do is sometimes we talk about Max getting started in the industry, what it's like, answering questions for people that are interested in doing this kind of work, practical effects, as you can see here. This is all hand-built stuff that Max does.
Turn it around so they can see the inside.
Oh yeah, he's a real robot. So you know, and
But I really want to be a real boy someday.
it's wide ranging because sometimes we're talking about how he got started, how you could get started, and sometimes we're talking about stuff he actually built, such as one of the most famous things that you might know in this room would be the circus hat from Beetlejuice. Yeah. Max built the entire thing and operated it on stage.
So the next time you see Beetlejuice, when he appears in the carousel hat getup, just remember, in that shot, I'm actually laying on the floor at Michael Keaton's feet with the control box operating it while he's being lifted up through the set on a little hydraulic lift. So I've shattered the Hollywood illusion for you.
And this is what we talk about on the show. Max has worked on it recently, the latest Jackass movie. There was a Katy Perry Japanese commercial for their equivalent of like Febreze. But it was this really elaborate thing where Max had to make a chair dance,
I had
dance.
to make the company I work for is Vision Scenery. They're up in the San Fernando Valley. And my shop manager is a wonderful guy named Carl Horner. And we were tasked to build certain props for this Katy Perry commercial, which was a dancing washing machine, a dancing chair, think Cherry from Pee-wee's Playhouse, and a dancing trench coat hung on a old-fashioned coat rack. And not every day you're asked to make a coat rack and trench coat dance. So I made this flat, sort of like a marionette. Originally thinking we were going to film this on a soundstage where I'd be up ahead, up above in the fly, up by the lights, and the wires were just coming straight down. About 4 days before we were going to go shoot the commercial, I was told, oh no, we're shooting this in a real mansion up in Beverly Hills. And I'm like, oh boy, how am I going to do this when there's now no open ceiling? And so I came up with an idea of having the monofilament going up through a set of eye hooks over to the left to one side and then down through another set of eye hooks, and with me about 15 feet out to one side so I'd be out of camera range. And so I went on set since I built the rig, and I was the on-set puppeteer for that commercial as well.
And in the realm of Star Wars, Max did a Pepsi commercial with
Peter Mayhew, our favorite Wookiee.
Yeah.
This was while they were making the prequels trilogy, and the commercial was shot over Universal Studios on Soundstage 11, and it was just a 2-day shot. The company I was working for at the time had built the set, which was a diner, like a roadside diner out in the middle of nowhere, like between here and Baker's or something. And the shot was, there's Chewbacca, Peter Mayhew, then there's Yoda, who was added digitally, but they brought the original Yoda puppet that had been built for episode 2 as a lighting reference, and then the young man who was going to be in the commercial. And I, again, was the puppeteer on set, and so I really was, though, this time, up in the rafters. And I had to fly in on wires, good old-fashioned marionette tricks, a real dinner plate full of real food, and a Pepsi can. The Pepsi can was real. I had drained it full of its soda so it wouldn't leak and be sticky and a mess. And I filled it full of sand and nuts and bolts so it would have weight. And then it was rigged with 3 wires so I could float it into the shot. And then digitally they then erased the wires for the shot. And it's basically a case where Yoda and the young man are fighting using the Force to get the plate of food and Pepsi to come to them, and eventually, of course, Yoda wins.
Another notable show that you might find if you go back and look at our podcast is we talk about Max. When I met him, he was one of the few people that had a screen-accurate Boba Fett costume, and we go into great detail on that, and how he created it, certain people that helped with that he met that were related to the show, this, that, and the other.
I actually built my very first Fett costume way back in 1982.
Yes.
And there was even pictures. Luckily, the convention I first wore it at, there was a photographer there and a reporter from good old Starlog magazine, and they took pictures of me, which got published. So I have photographic proof that I was probably one of the very first people to wear a Fett costume to a convention. And later on, I got to meet Jeremy Bullock, who I very much admired for having played Fett, and we got to be friends, and I actually got to induct Jeremy into the 501st, making him an honorary member. Yeah. And I did so wearing my full Fett costume, delivering him the plaque and admitting him into the 501st as an honorary member.
And then I'm pretty sure we're going to do a show about the Mastercom build. We don't have time to go into the full details here, but just so you know, Max has been not going to bed before 11:30 or midnight every night for the last month or two. Yeah.
So basically what you're looking at, what I'm wearing, is completely scratch built. The only thing that was made for me were the knees. A good friend of mine, Gordon Tarpley, 3D printed the knees. Otherwise, everything else is scratch built, and I built this whole suit in 2 months, a little over 2 months.
But hey, come find us on Facebook. We always post stuff. We have a Facebook group. We post really cool pictures. We and of course then the Skywalking Network. That's where the show happens.
Exactly.
And so we use Facebook to support the pictures.
Yeah, and so
that
we
way
have
you
to
can
thank
see.
Richard and Sarah for supporting us.
Yes, thank you
on our
so
podcast.
much to Richard and Sarah. And thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.
No, if you really love Beetlejuice, there's so many fun Beetlejuice stories. I don't want to play favorites. My favorite episode.
Okay.
All right, so let's do another question until Max gets off the stage. All right, here we go. All right, Sarah, you look out. See who raises their hand first. Jeff, down. All right, we're getting a zip tie for Jeff. All right, here we go. On what social media platform did the Star Wars brand join on February the 4th, 2009?
Oh,
This
way in the
gentleman
back.
way down here?
What was it?
That would
Facebook?
be right if that were a different question. However, not the right one over here. All right.
What? Oh, did you see? Glenn, go ahead. Twitter.
Twitter is correct.
Twitter.
Twitter is correct. Glenn Stein, everybody. All right, now for our next show. Our next show, we have the Neverland Clubhouse. How many Disney fans do we have out here? How many Disney parks fans do we have out here? All All right, you're gonna have a great time with us. Here we are, Courtney Turckel and Kelly Turckel. And recently, they were just joined by my sweetie wife Sarah, because when you start podcasting, you just can't stop.
That's right.
We're so happy
to have her. Yes. Hi, everyone. And welcome to the Neverland Clubhouse. We are the podcast where we go to different parklands to discuss Disney stories, news, and what's going on with Disney Plus. I'm Kelly, and this is my sister Courtney.
Hey everyone, and that's Sarah from Skywalking through Neverland.
All right.
All right, now that that's out of the way.
I know, right? That's our opening. All right. Well, I'm sorry. One more thing. We are your tour guides through Disney fandom.
That's right.
All right. Well, because this is a Disney Parks podcast, we really wanted to focus on the parks, but because it's Star Wars Celebration, we're going to focus on Star Wars at Disney Parks. So who here has been to Galaxy's Edge? All right, nice. Most of you. Who has not been to Galaxy's Edge? Oh my gosh. Who has plans to go to Galaxy's Edge? All right, okay, cool. Perfect. All right, well, we had a whole segment planned talking about Galaxy's Edge, but true to Star Wars Celebration form, they have breaking news today.
Yes.
Because Courtney and Kelly were at the Disney Parks panel.
We were at the merchandise panel. The merchandise panel,
Oh,
yes.
and that just happened like an hour ago. So we are going to talk about it because they learned some really cool things. So would you guys like to start out?
Yeah, so the panel itself was hosted by Amy Ratcliffe, and she had 4 Disney Parks Imagineers from Parks Consumer Products, and they were talking about all of the new merchandise that they're going to be having out in the next year or so. We're starting with tonight for the Star Wars After Dark event. Who's going to that? Awesome. Well, the thing is they have new merch for tonight that wasn't there.
I've got some exclusives for you.
Yeah, so it's going to be called the Twins Moons Eclipse line, and it's 2 shirts. There's a women's cut and a men's cut, and then there's a pin. So that's finally ready. So it'll be there tonight.
And the Twin Suns Eclipse is like, what colors
The
are they?
moons.
Oh, twin. Oh,
Yeah.
It's red.
Yeah, it's red.
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 Ooh,
They're red.
okay. Amazing. Let's see. And so when they showed you, did they show you some of the products on stage? Or is it
Mostly pictures and
Mostly
concept
pictures.
art.
Okay.
Yeah. There was one thing that they did show us. They showed us a little frog thing from the Resistance that's going to be new at the creature stall.
Do you guys, what is it called?
Borg, yes. The Borg. So that's going to be coming to the creatures stall.
Oh,
Gorg.
And then also from the book that Amy Ratcliffe wrote, A Fairy is going to be coming as well.
Ooh, a Star Wars fairy.
Yeah.
I love it.
And who loves lightsabers? Because a lot of lightsabers are coming to the Savis. They're getting all new parts. There's not a lot of scrap anymore, so they got to get new scrap.
Oh,
So
that's
they're updating the lightsabers there, starting with the power and control one. So you'll be able to get new ones for that.
Yeah, so there's gonna be new parts.
New parts.
For the power and control.
And they'll be updating theirs as well.
Okay, now what about the legacy lightsabers? Because I know lots of people are excited.
Well, who saw Obi-Wan last night? Yeah, well, you're going to be able to get that lightsaber in Galaxy's Edge.
Love what you heard today. Please listen to the Neverland Clubhouse.
Yeah. All right then, second start of the right and straight on till morning. Join us for our next adventure from the Neverland Clubhouse.
Hey everyone. You guys having a good time? Yeah! Alright, who here is coming to our Ewok panel tomorrow, celebrating the Ewok adventures? At 12 noon on the fan stage?
Yup.
Yep, is right. Alright. On the panel, we're gonna have Eric Walker, played Mace Tuwani in the Ewok adventure, and Kevin Thompson, who played Chub Ray in Return of the Jedi, as well as Chugachrock in the Ewok adventure. And we're going to have Tracy Thompson, who wrote Kevin's memoir, My Journey to Endor. So please be there. And speaking of the Ewok adventure, in a couple of seconds, we're gonna have Eric Walker come up here with another musical set. You guys are gonna be very, very excited about this, I can tell you that right now. A few years ago, Eric invited me to direct his music video, Dare to Dream. Thank you so much, Eric. We just shot a really fun video with Buddy. Buddy is like one of the biggest troopers you'll ever want to work with. All right, I wish Buddy were here now. Now, question before we get on to this next act. All right, let's see here. All right, how about this? On April 27th, 1993, a live theater show opened in Japan that weaves George Lucas's films with a new narrative. What is the name of the show? Oh, yes.
George Lucas Super Live Adventure.
This man gets a prize. That is right. All right, keep your applause going for Eric Walker featuring ACM.
Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate it. I'm Eric Walker, as some of you know, and this is ACM, Alpha Centauri Man.
Wait a minute, Eric Walker?
Yes,
I
Eric
thought you
Walker.
were Mace Tawani.
I am Mace Tawani. I'm Star Wars first Mace, right? Sorry, Sam Jackson.
On my planet, Mace Tawani is a hero. In fact, that documentary that you were in was just amazing.
Wait, what?
The
That what?
documentary.
You think the Ewok movies are a documentary?
Absolutely. We
Okay.
can share that documentary with all of our children.
And you
look
probably
to
think
for
Ewoks are teddy bears.
values and for courage and for heroism.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, well, they don't want to hear us sit here and talk, so let's go ahead and perform our song Dare to Dream for everybody.
You know,
Ready? Let's do this. Here we go.
You'll always be a hero to me, Eric.
Oh, thank you. ACM.
Am I not right?
Here we go. Why are you just sitting there? What's your problem? Are you scared? Everything is magic here. We make it up out of thin air. Nothing's complete. Nothing's concrete. Sweet or sour, it's what we make. The question is the answer to most everything. The Wookiee, Han, and Luke wouldn't sit back and wait. Come on, it's not too late. Clap your hands, stomp your feet. Shake your hips and repeat. Feel the rhythm and the beat. Stroke your hair, kiss the air.
In a galaxy far, far away, where's to dream? Where's to dream?
Hey, celebrate. Every day is a brand new day. Let's get going, what we say. Nothing's complete, nothing's concrete. Sweet or sour is what we pick. The question is the answer to most everything. And Padme Ray would sit back and wait. Come on, it's not too late. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, shake your hips, clap your hands, shake your feet, shake your hips. Here, kiss the air. Stomp your feet, shake your hips, and repeat. Feel the rhythm and the beat. Stroke your hair, kiss the air. And stomp your feet, shake your hips, and repeat. Feel the rhythm and the beat. Stroke your hair, kiss the air. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, shake your hips, and repeat. Feel the rhythm and the beat. Stroke your hair, kiss the air. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, shake your hips, and repeat. Feel the rhythm and the beat. Stroke your hair, kiss the air. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, shake your hips.
Hey, Mace,
Yes, ATM.
did I ever tell you the time time I was abducted by an alien.
You were abducted by an alien? No.
Yes. He took me way out into outer space, turned to me and said, there's something I really love about the human race.
What did he love?
He said, I really love the way they will treat us surprised and let their bodies be. Yeah. The way they will treat us surprised and set their spirits free. Oh yeah. The way they will treat us surprised and let their bodies free. Come on. The way they will treat us surprised and set their spirits free. Oh yeah. You know, yeah, they don't see eyes too hard to you can play the band. Yeah. 8 eyes, 3 eyes too hard to you can play like no other man. He said, once I get started, I just can't stop. Once I get started, I get so hot. Once I get started, I have to rock. Whoa,
Yeah. Why? Because why? You have to
really treat us and proud and set your spirits free. Set free. When the time comes, will I be ready? When the time comes, will I have done what I came to do? When the time comes, will I regret it? When the time comes, will I have loved one like you? Like you.
Did you take the cup? Did you really do enough? Did you take what you had? Was it really on the tough? Did you exceed expectations when you created the show? When the time came to set up, were you ready to go? Were you the difference? You bestow enough? Did you aid your brother? Was the road that tough? Hands held it steady when the time comes. Will you be ready?
Eric Walker, don't get it. Courage is so hard to find. Afraid of the next step.
But it's what we do in those moments when we're being tested and we follow what our heart is telling us to do. Remember, never give up. You've got this.
You gotta get right back in the game. Don't sit playing put loose up by the scraps and do it again. Oh yeah, why would you wanna quit? Handle pain, get back in the game. Life is big and goes down. Sometimes it'll put a fight. You can do better. I say don't quit, just be yourself. It only takes a single hit to erase every bad feeling you felt. Tomorrow will come together. It won't be long before you get through the trials. Whether you can do it, you can do it much better. Oh yeah, you can do it much better. You have to trust yourself. Oh yeah, you got to trust yourself. 'Cause you know you can do it better. Let us forget our time and space as we move like fluid drops of rain under the sun. Casting a rainbow of colors on the world. We love more than ourselves.
that Mace Tuwani died in battle for Endor. He's faking his own death so he can become a great musician. All right, coming up next, we have Collectopolis. How many collectors do we have in here? All right, collecting just vintage stuff, new stuff, all stuff? Then you're gonna love this. Here they are. Kevin, Toft, and Ernie Moreno from Collectopolis.
I'm back.
It's on a lot of podcasts.
So, Collectopolis. I was sitting around my office at home and I was looking at all the collectibles and I went, I wish I had, I gotta share this with people. I gotta talk to people about all these cool collectibles that we have. So I pitched Richard, talked to Ernie, and we started Collectopolis so we could talk about not just Star Wars, everything that's cool to collect out there. So, I like dead-on replicas. I like the stuff that you see down there, you know, that's like right on model. And that's the part that I cover. Ernie?
I'm more of a vintage video game collector, like Odyssey, Nintendo, Sega, all the way back to like 3DO kind of stuff. It's all that vintage video game stuff that we didn't know that we were supposed to start collecting back then, and now it's so precious to us.
And why don't you give me a little background on yourself, Ernie?
I started my career in graphics design and all that stuff at G4, so I got a little bit of nerd credit. Been coming to these kind of conventions for a long time, but been working a lot in the entertainment industry for like 14 years, but never had the pleasure of working with Kevin until just a couple of years ago.
Boy, we tried though.
We tried a whole lot. I was like, every time he got to a job, I joined and then he left.
I was leading the way.
Exactly.
And a little about me, I'm also a graphic designer. I've worked in the video game industry. I was on launch team for the PS1. Currently just a graphic designer and ultra fanboy. We have a few shows. Now it's a YouTube show, right? We're gonna talk about collectibles. We didn't think it would work as a podcast because there's too many visuals with it. So it's on the Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel, just so that you know it all makes sense, right? So a couple of our Star Wars shows, one of them, Ernie's friend Jay.
Yeah, a college friend of mine, Jay Machado, he was originally in the same kind of program that I was in for art and entertainment. He ended up getting cast, he ended up becoming one of the guys at ILM, who's currently working on Mando, and he is just finished up his work on Kenobi. So we got to interview him. He's a model builder as well. He actually, on the episode, one of the first screens on it, he has his very own Mando helmet made, you know, because he's one of the 3D guys on it. He makes them very close to the specifications that they do on the show.
In fact, didn't he bring it to the set?
He brought it to set. It's on with us.
Yeah.
I think you tried it on.
I had to.
Yeah.
Beans too big.
No, but it was a great time to see his actual collection. Like somebody from ILM, you wonder what they're kind of collecting at their house.
And that's the angle, is that we like to interview these guys who pretty much can make anything and say, all right, where did you draw the line? What did you buy?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he can make anything. Where did you go? No, I gotta buy that.
Yeah, and you know, Jay's house is,
it's a museum.
Jay's house is a museum of everything under the sun, but some of the stuff that he collected, I won't spoil it because I really want you to come watch the show. Some of the stuff he collected, it's a real question mark. It's like, why would you, as a person who works ILM, Star Wars, all this stuff, this is what you decide this is your most precious collectible right here. It's the same kind of stuff we had with Jason.
Right. And then our very first episode, I had found a gentleman on the Replica Pop Builders Forum, a guy by the name of Jason Eaton, who makes spot-on replicas, studio scale.
Amazing.
And he doesn't just print it off and make it look, he literally looks up, he's got all of the model kits they had at ILM in the 70s and pulls the exact right greebly and builds and puts all the mounting points in the same way as if you were going to shoot the model and everything. It's really incredible. In fact, there's a lot of people who build X-Wings out there, but his studio scale X-Wing is amazing. He has become friends with several of the original ILMers from back in the 70s, and they have pretty much given him his blessing. They have said as much to him you were born at the wrong time. If you had been there in the 70s, we would have hired you on the spot.
Although a couple of times they were like, we just did that this way. And he's like, yeah, but I wanted it to do everything it possibly could. He's like,
right.
Yeah, but we just built it for set. So you did way more than we were supposed to.
They have given him artifacts and things that they've been trying to build the X-Wing for years. They have given him pieces of pyros so that they can figure, now he shares it with the community so they can get all the panel lines right and everything. So it really is an amazing episode. If you can make it over to the Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube page, the very first episode, Jason, it's an excellent episode. We have a follow-up episode because in that episode, and he's showing that he was making a 12-inch ion cannon from Empire Strikes Back.
Oh my gosh, this thing's amazing.
And he just finished it. And the episode is complete, and we are going to launch that soon, right, Richard? Right after, yeah, right. That's coming out probably right after the con. But yeah, it was just absolutely amazing to talk to him. Plus, it's not just all Star Wars. There's some other interesting things in there. If you watch, you'll see how I got my official Collectopolis Fez. It's one of the episodes.
Yeah, Jay's collection far overexpands like Star Wars stuff. He loves like Ninja Turtle stuff.
Well, he's a Batman. He built a cosplay of the Kenner Batman toy, all out of vacuum form. So it's even got the Kenner logo on the back of his leg.
With the molding lines and everything.
Yeah,
somebody held up a toy next to him and looks exactly like.
Yeah, it looks like somebody
amazing.
hit him with a pin particle. He went, but yeah. So we also, of course, have our Facebook page. We try to support that with pictures of stuff that we're doing and things that are coming up. But definitely go over to Skywalking Neverland and check out all the great shows on the YouTube channel. And yeah, that's it. That's us, Collectopolis, guys. Thanks.
Now, at this point, I don't know who has more shows on the Skywalking Network. I remember back in 1988, there was in Marin County, where Lucasfilm's located, one year they have a big county fair. And that year, Lucasfilm decided to put on a big display at the fair. And they didn't realize how big the Star Wars fandom was still at that point. 43,000 people. 5 days. Wow. Were you there?
Yes, I was.
And you think that I was there for all 5 days. It was so cool. The poor people were just dying out in the sun. I had 4-hour waits or something like that to get in. We were not prepared for the crowd. We had people flying in from Europe.
Wow. So you thought getting into the store here was
So we did that, and the person that was putting it on said, we need somebody to clean out the archives, and they just hired me for 2 weeks, and I stayed for 8 years. And
that was a really long job to clean up that.
I was really slow.
That's a good way to keep a job. So
I wasn't very good.
So what was it like the warehouse at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Totally like that. Well, the thing is that, especially at that time, the warehouse was simply that, a warehouse. It was behind a Kellymore paint store, and it was unheated. Had all this, the crown jewels of Lucasfilm sitting there, and Skywalker Ranch. And so we moved over 2 weeks. We moved everything up there, and that was a climate-controlled environment. So I instituted an session database for all the artifacts, and in the meantime, I was doing character appearances. So then I was also
in The Last Jedi. I was like, oh, my things, and that was the first article I wrote for Insider. So just those little sort of tie-ins and why we recognize things, and it's a good way to learn about amazing creatures we have here on planet Earth. So yeah, hopefully you'll come to our other panels too. And if we have more time, we can keep talking about R2-D2.
Oh, I was going to say just some of our past episodes that are some of our favorites. We had a guy who makes prosthetics, and he got into making prosthetics because of Luke's bionic hand. So it was a mind-blowing.
Making hands closer and closer to what we see in the bionic hand in Star Wars. So it's, the same thing with like Star Trek. You always hear about the tri.
Our most recent episode, we've also talked to military historians, geologists. What other types of specialties have we gotten into?
Oh gosh. Don't bring this next
some
Economics.
Yes, we had economics. We talked to a Catholic priest about religion, and that was really
We had
interesting.
a wildlife biologist.
Right, yeah, lots of biologists. Whenever I'm in charge of booking, we just get different type of biologists. We had an extremologist, someone who studies life in Antarctica and in deep sea, and the conservation biologist. We talk about Alderon and stuff like that. Obviously, big mass extinction and those sorts of things happen on Earth.
Little slides. Really listening podcast.
Yeah. Cool.
And Floyd and Richard Don Means, thank you very much.
First, or?
Yeah, no, look at the picture. You guys are right here.
Oh yeah.
Everybody except for that gentleman.
Okay.